Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
The fourth topic comes from Rony. So the Batman just finished its third week with only a 45% drop, bringing its worldwide total to nearly 600 million. Do you think it has a chance of crossing 1 billion? And if it does, they already got 2 shows planned. Will WB push for 5 films instead of 3? How much milking will they do? Thanks for taking my question, and bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Ronnie. And yes, as of today, the Batman has not only become just the second film in the last couple of years to cross the $300 million mark domestically, it also has crossed the $600 million mark internationally, worldwide. These are big numbers, and we talked about that last week. It only took another 40-something% drop from week 1 to week 2, making just under $40 million in its third weekend. It continues to do well, particularly for a film of this nature. And now, after this weekend is done, once we're now past the third weekend, I think now we're starting to get a pretty clear picture about where the Batman is going to end up, where things are going to settle. And now we've got a pretty good idea of what Warner Brothers actually has on their hands. Now, people have been writing me and asking, do you think it's going to hit $1 billion? Look, we've been saying for a long time before this movie opened, it is unlikely that the Batman was ever going to hit $1 billion. Not with all the things that came before it, the confusion of multiple Batman. There is still this mythology out there that Twilight Boy, like that's this rumor. By the way, that's dead now. That's dead. And there's no more getting around it. Like, even for the people who did not see all the films Robert Pattinson's done in the last decade, now they've seen him as Batman. Twilight Boy is dead. And that's gone now. But that was a huge stumbling block on top of the mixed reception of the DCU, all the drama going on, 3 or 4 different Batman running around, the history of the films, how they did or did not succeed, all that kind of stuff. And that's why, Rob, you and I have said for quite a long time, the likelihood of this thing hitting $1 billion is unlikely. Possible, but unlikely. And I think now we've got a really clear picture that at $600 million after 3 weekends, it's probably going to settle in that $7 to mid $700 million range, which has got to be taken as a monumental win, in my opinion. A monumental win. And I guarantee you this, the next Batman will be $1 billion film. I'll bet you everything right now that now that all those hurdles that this Batman had to face has now been jumped, the next one's going to make $1 billion. I'll tell you that right now. That being said, you still can't look past what a mark this is for this thing. This comes just from the folks at Variety who write the following. The Batman should surpass a total domestic gross of $300 million by Monday, which it has today, becoming only the second pandemic-era release to do so after Spider-Man No Way Home. Its stellar opening of $134 million and lean week-to-week drops have made the Robert Pattinson-led film the highest-grossing movie of 2022 thus far, and the second highest-grossing film since the COVID-19 pandemic began, again, topped only by Spider-Man No Way Home, which the Batman also this weekend tied the new record, for most weeks at number 1, which was 3. Of course, Spider-Man got beat in its 4th weekend, then took back the number 1 spot lately, but 3 weeks in a row was his thing. The Batman has hit that mark, although it's not going to end up anywhere near as much money as Spider-Man No Way Home. Not in the least. Rob, now as we are getting this clearer picture about how this movie has performed, what hurdles it's been able to overcome, and the results it's getting now, what do you think Warner Brothers' takeaway on this is? Now that Warner Brothers is getting to sit down now, actually look at, we now understand what it is we have in this film. Do they, as the person who wrote it and asked, are they now pushing for a 5-movie franchise? I think that's drastically premature at this point. You've had 1 movie come out, that's great. But how do you think Warner Brothers is looking at this, and what do you think of the results?
Well, 1, I think they're stoked. 2, this is a great result for this film. It's a beautifully crafted movie. It's an auteurist vision. You know, I prefer writer-director visions. I feel we get something that is something of a piece. You know, it's a singular vision. I thought this movie was beautifully cast. It was beautifully made. I think this is a triumph all the way around. And by the way, with this kind of box office or lack of drop-off week to week, who knows where this is going to wind up? I don't think it's going to make $1 billion. I don't. But it's going to make more than this current, $600 million we're at now?
Yes.
This could top out, I could see this topping out at 758. That's an epic win for this movie. And I have to think that everybody in the executive suites at Warner Brothers is absolutely excited about this. I am sure plans are being drawn. I think trilogies are the way to go with things like this. I think that Matt Reeves is going to be able to make, like Christopher Nolan before him, his Batman trilogy that's in a universe unto itself, because it's an auteurist Batman universe. And I like what it has to say. Maybe they're going to do a bunch of spinoffs. You've got the dude, if we get the and I'm not saying it's going to be like Peacemaker, but if we can get the auteurist vision of Penguin to be the same as what James Gunn was able to do with Peacemaker, not that it's a wacky, funny show, but the fact that it keeps the tone of this Batman movie, that's pretty damn cool. And we'll see where it's going to go. I mean, I just think that it's a win for everybody. For me, it was a win as a moviegoer and a Batman fan. I think there's only as long as there's more rain in all of our future, I'm happy.
Chris, you had a chance to take a look at this. It's crossed the 300 million domestic. It's crossed 600 million worldwide. It's number one 3 weeks in a row. I don't think it's going to be for a fourth week. We've got that new Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock movie coming out, which is getting ridiculously good reviews coming out of South by Southwest. I've got my tickets. I'm excited to see it. But what do you think Warner Brothers now, as they sit down, they're taking stock of what they had in this Batman movie? What do you think their impressions are? How do you think they feel about it? How should they feel about it? And where do you think this tells us about where this franchise could go?
Well, I think, like Rob said here, this also just shows you that you should trust the auteur vision here, right? Let a director run with Batman the way they want to. Let them try out this whole universe. I am interested to see if they're going to try to shoehorn more things into this specific Batman universe. And I feel like that's the way Warner Brothers probably will go, because right now it is kind of this spaghetti method. Let's throw things at the wall and see what sticks. And that hasn't been the best method so far. I really don't want to end up seeing Aquaman in this universe. I really don't want to end up seeing Wonder Woman in this universe. No. And I know that leads to more brand confusion, because if we do want another Justice League, or we do want, more team up films to kind of mimic what the MCU has been so successful in doing, that is going to mean we're going to have multiple Batmen still, multiple potentially Aquamen, or even bringing in more of the super family, right? So right now I'm hoping that this leads to more clarity than confusion, but I'm very, very doubtful that they're going to see this and have a clear game plan now. I feel like this is going to kind of muddy the waters of, well, let's do some of this, let's do some of that, and let's keep trying things out to see what works. And I think the universe is still going to feel a little disjointed.
Now, Warner Brothers has been guilty in the past about being extremely reactionary.
Guilty.
Like very, very itchy trigger finger, extremely reactionary. Now, Matt Reeves has got a bit of a vision for Batman 2. We know his vision is to have this as a totally separate universe thing. Let me ask you a nightmare question. Do you think the success of the Batman is tempting some of the executives at Warner Brothers now to do what Matt Reeves never intended, which was to start crossing the Robert Pattinson Batman? You mentioned not wanting to see Aquaman and stuff like that. Could they now be thinking, well, people love this Batman. Boy, he sure could kick some life into our DCEU properties and get people excited. Listen, I hate saying it, but do you think there are Warner Brothers executives right now, Robert, that could be thinking along those lines? Or do you think at this point they've learned their lessons from the mistakes of the past? What do you think?
I think, look, they've already got that. They've got Black Adam. They've got The Flash with 2 Batman in it. They've got Wonder Woman 3, whatever that turns out to be. They've got Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. They've got plenty in terms of having their interconnected universe or characters crossing over. I think they're going to look at Nolan's Batman movies and realize, look at the box office of both The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. That's what they're looking for now. The number's $1 billion. This is their Batman Begins, and this is outgrossing Batman Begins, probably by a wide margin, even adjusting for inflation and ticket prices in the almost, 22 years or 17 years since Batman Begins, whatever that is. I think they know better. I think they're going to let Matt Reeves do what they were going to do with Robert Pattinson and go make his trilogy of Batman movies, unfettered by the constraints of whatever the always rotating executive leadership at Warner Brothers is doing. And I think David Zaslav will come in and go, you know what? Let's not mess with them. Let's let Matt Reeves do what he's doing. We've got every other playground to mess with, but we're not going to mess with this. Let's leave it pure.
I'll bring this up as a point for what you're saying. As of right now, The Batman has almost made as much money as domestically. The Batman has almost made as much money domestically as Batman Begins did in its entire worldwide run. The Batman has made $300 million domestically, whereas Batman Begins made $371 million worldwide. Worldwide.
Yep.
So The Batman is going to double that. And so I'm not saying that makes it a better movie than Batman Begins. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, I mean, it's a good first step for a Batman character that really needs some rehabilitation when it comes to its perception to the public. Chris, what do you think about this nightmare scenario? I mean, could you mentioned you don't want to see them crossing over Aquaman, but do you think that's something we could be in danger of seeing?
I mean, is there an executive who's pushing this? There absolutely is. There's some executive who's like, you know, it would be a great idea, guys. Follow me on this journey. There's someone there.
By the way, this breaking news, we just got confirmation that the board of Warner Brothers has gotten together to discuss. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I just love that we're referencing Benny Hill. Half of our audience is going, what?
Benny who?
What band is that?
There's definitely an executive who's doing this. Now, do I hope that cooler heads prevail? Absolutely. And I think they will. I've been burnt before, John, and I've been disappointed before. And so I'm hoping that they say, oh, hey, yeah, let's keep playing with, Peacemaker and bringing that into the rest of the DCEU. That's where we can have the Flash and Aquaman come play, because they're all also kind of, they have their moments of comedy. They have moments where they can kind of take the piss and everything. But Matt Reeves is Batman. Probably not going to see him with Peacemaker. Does that sound cool to everybody? I'm hoping that's the case. But again, there's some person there who thinks they have $1 million idea of, oh man, just wait till we inject Jason Momoa into Gotham.
They're gonna love it.
Well, I mean, they have broken the seawall, so maybe he just swims into town.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? The Batman crosses even more box office milestones, crossing $300 million domestically, making almost as much domestic as Batman Begins made in its entire theatrical run, and crossing $600 million worldwide. Where do you think it's ultimately going to settle on, and what do you think the takeaways for Warner Brothers should be now that they kind of have a clear picture of what the results of this film are going to be? Whatever your guys' thoughts are, jump down into the comments section below and leave your thoughts there. Guys, we want to take just a minute and thank the sponsor of this video, Masterclass. Masterclass is offering classes on a wide variety of topics, like all taught by world-class masters at the absolute tops of their field. Each class is broken down out into individual video lessons, usually like around 10 minutes or so long, and members can explore at their own pace. And each class is supported by downloadable materials, lessons, recipes, or more that you can all find at masterclass.com. For example, are you into streaming? Well, you can take the Building Your Streaming class taught by ninjas so you can sharpen up on your streaming skills. Or if you're interested in independent filmmaking, take independent filmmaking from Academy Award winner Spike Lee. You want to get classes on how to direct? How about from Ron Howard? The very first one I personally looked up and got into was Business Leadership by the great Big Papa Iger, Bob Iger himself. And I was absolutely enthralled with it. I love every single minute of this stuff. If any of those apply to you, you need to try Masterclass. So I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every Masterclass, and as a John Campea Show viewer, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea. Once again, to get 15% off your annual membership, go to masterclass.com/Campea.